Dear colleagues, thank you for watching my video. I'm János Tanács. In this presentation, I am going to show the intertwined role of visualization and historical accuracy in the Challenger launch decision-making situation. On January 28, 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded 73 seconds after launch. The explosion killed 7 astronauts, including a severe teacher. Soon, a presidential committee of inquiry was set up on behalf of President Ronald Reagan. An unplanned meeting was held the evening before the launch due to the forecasted extreme weather conditions. The presidential committee investigated this meeting and concluded that the flaws of the decision-making played a contributory but vital role in the accident. During the meeting, engineers at NASA contractor Molten Cycle, who supplied the solid rocket booster of the Space Shuttle, suggested that there was a correlation between the damage of the so-called O-ring seals of the booster and the launch temperature. According to the engineers, the proposed launch in the extreme cold weather predicted for the next morning would pose a safety risk of the flight. They also suggested the launch temperature should not be lower than the lowest one measured during the former 24 missions performed so far, namely 56 degrees Fahrenheit, 12 degrees Celsius. This recommendation was unacceptable to the project owner NASA management. According to the view of the NASA officials, the contractor's engineer could not conclusively prove the correlation between the O-ring damage and decreasing launch temperature. After some lengthy and serious debate, the rocket maker finally gave his permissions for the next day's launch. Later, the decision-making situation became a subject of scientific inquiry. Edward R. Tufte, in his seminal work Visual Explanations, carried out one of the most interesting scientific investigations. He focused on the presentational character of the decision-making situation. Besides this, Tufte criticized the contractor's engineers, claiming that they were not able to articulate the risk of the cold weather launching of the space shuttle, to reveal the correlation between O-ring damage and temperature, and to prepare convincing presentational charts. Tufte's work has some indisputable merits in relation to the importance of visual display. He proposed to calculate an overall O-ring damage score for each launch, and based on it he made a graph. This graph clearly shows the correlation between O-ring distress and cool weather, and reveals the serious risk of a launch at the predicted temperature, 29 degrees Fahrenheit. It seems that Tufte analysis clearly shows the significance of the visualization of data and evidences that played a vital role in the fatal decision. Finally, he claims that there are right ways and wrong ways to show data. There are displays that reveal the truth and displays that do not. Despite the merits of Tufte's approach, there is a weak point in his analysis. Although Tufte is historically correct in relation to the visual aspect of the charts, but not in relation to the evidences that were available for the engineers at that time. Tufte supposed that the engineers had all the relevant data, which he used in the visual representation of the correlation, which was based on his proposed calculation of the damage score. So he supposed that the engineers had all the temperature data of the 24 previous launches and all the data that were needed to calculate the O-ring damage score of the 7 problematic launches. But only the data of 6 problematic launches had been available for the engineers to calculate the damage scores, and only the 2 launch temperature data of these flights were known for them. Such a seriously incomplete database cannot be a base of a convincing visual presentation, since more correlational curves being substantially different from each other fit on the 2 pair of data. So Tufte's claim can be paraphrased in the following way. There are right ways and wrong ways to treat historical data. There are visual presentations that show the structure of reality, and ones that show fiction. Thank you for your attention.